I'm doing it. I'm doing it right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And it just takes a few seconds, and then I will check the participants and see if
No, we don't have any counselors. Matt Price is there.
Well, we've got a quorum.
okay, we're live on YouTube, so I'll flip it back to.
Good. I will call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Amy, could you take attendance, please?
Yes.
For the record.
President Garrett,
Present.
Vice President Traylor,
Here.
Counselor Burke,
Here.
Counselor Choi, okay, not present. Counselor Culp, not present. Counselor Melton,
Present.
and Counselor Plunkett is not present.
Good. Thank you, Amy. We've got the approval of the memorandum of the July 6th, 2020 regular meeting. A copy has been posted. Unless there's any objections, I'll make a motion to approve that memo.
Second.
Second from Vice President Traylor. Amy, could you do a roll call vote for the counselors present?
Sure. President Garrett,
Yes.
Vice President Traylor,
Yes.
Counselor Burke,
Yes.
Counselor Culp is not here. Counselor Melton.
Yes.
I think that's all that we have.
Yep. The memorandum of the July 6th, 2020 regular town council meeting is approved by a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Amy, I see Counselor Choi has joined us for the record. Request to speak. Do we have any requests to speak?
I have a hand. Hold on.
Great.
I will
Promote
him.
Mr. Triscari.
Yes.
Very good. Mr. Triscari, you're now live on the meeting. I think you know the drill here, but 3 minutes or 6 if you're representing with your wife. Please give your name and address for the record, and I'll start the timer after that point.
Paddock Road, and it's just a comment. You can be seen, so I would highly recommend that if we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, that people stand as a sign of respect, and that's just a personal note. As of 7/20/2020, Van Trust has still failed to run the 8-inch water line into Saratoga after November 2018 ordinance passing. Van Trust is still in violation and total disregard of Zionsville official commitment letter. I wanted to correct something that went on last week when we talked Van Trust tax giveaway, in which they received a tax exemption of, on average, they're paying 44% of taxes over a 10-year period, not the 50% as proposed. That's 6% different with the two. We're talking at least $1.8, $1.9 million. Additionally, I just want to quickly address, I know the president of the board did not want me to speak about the destruction of wells last time, but that was part of Van Trust package into the community for their windfall tax break. And so I wanted to address that piece. That first of all, that document looked like it was done by a Google search. It was not a very well thought out document. But if you go back 2 or 3 decades, there was maybe 1 or 2 homes within that area that had issues with the wells. It is now up to about 14 or 15. We've seen the rolling cancer from Van Trust in just the last 2 years, where it's been about 6 or 7, then to 8 to 12 to 13, and now supposedly Van Trust has 17, which they still haven't been able to put the line in. Just to let you know, we're also built on Fox watershed, so saturation of water is extremely important to the community as it relates to our wells in this area. Something again that Van Trust has totally disregarded. If you plan on buying a home and a homeowner in Zionsville, be cautious. The leadership doesn't abide by their comprehensive plan, nor do they care about the leadership doesn't abide by their comprehensive plan, or do they care about your property values. Homeowners on 421 or near the highway be leery of precedents set by zoning buffering. This leadership, to include the town council team, has provided zero value added. When I mean zero value added, you don't do anything for our roads. You don't do anything for police. You don't do anything for water. You don't do anything for sewage. Our kids don't go to the school. I'm not really sure what you provide this community at this time. And that's a big, big question. Van Trust is not to be trusted. They're anything but to be trusted. They've had 2 years, over a year and a half to get their stuff together, and they haven't. So you need to go ahead and act upon that commitment letter, because there's more coming with some of their violations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Triscari. Any other requests to speak? I do not see any, so we will move on. Old business, we have no old business. New business, we have one item. This is a consideration of an ordinance to amend the Town of Zionsville zoning map. This is Plan Commission Petition number 2020-08-Z, and ordinance for Council of 2020-06. Mr. DeLong, are you speaking on this matter, I believe?
I do not see him.
Maybe Mr. Price, I
Mr.
believe
Price.
he's representing, can speak on this matter.
I have promoted him.
Very good. Mr. Price, are you speaking on this matter in the absence of Mr. DeLong, or can you?
Absolutely. Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Good morning. Great way to start a Monday morning, seeing the council. I'm here this morning representing Prologis with regard to a rezoning to a light industrial classification. Just to orient the council a little bit, this is the property at the northwest corner of State Road 267 and 550 South. So to give you a frame of reference, it's immediately to the west of the Becknell industrial development. The property was previously heard for rezoning at the June 15th Plan Commission meeting, and as you saw from the certification, received a 7-0 recommendation of approval. It currently contemplates 2 buildings of a little over 500,000 square feet each. The company is currently actively pursuing an opportunity for an end user. We can't share more details about that now, but this is very much an active site, if you will. I should have mentioned at the beginning that my client, Amy Zepka, is on the phone as well, at the meeting as well, calling in. We started working with the planning staff back in, probably January, February timeframe about this, and process has gone very smoothly, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And I also, if I could, I could share my screen and kind of orient you on the property if you'd like to kind of show the surrounding zonings.
I think that'd be helpful. And Amy, for the record, Councilor Plunkett has joined as well for this matter. So Matt, if you don't mind, I think the council would find that helpful, please.
Okay.
And Amy, I see Joe Culp has joined as well, so we are a full quorum now.
Thank you.
You're still seeing me, unfortunately, so let me try that.
I see your screen, Matt.
Oh, do you? Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, if you can see my cursor as well, the site that is outlined in yellow, and on the south, the road you see on the south border is County Road 550, as I mentioned. To the east, you'll see the I-1 zoning classification. That's the Becknell development. This is an older photograph. There are actually new buildings going up on that property now. To the north, the I-1 zoning is the Exeter project that's actually in the town of Whitestown. And then you'll see to the west is zoned ag, and that is more property that an affiliate of our client also owns. It's a different entity, but same family. Same with the property to the south. I'll show you the buildings here as well. This is a footprint of the two buildings. It's a little different orientation than the previous slide I just showed you. The State Road 267 is on the bottom of the drawing. So north is to your right. And you'll see one thing I'll point out is kind of an interesting design feature is the building is contemplating recessed loading docks. So for example, the building orientation to the south has recessed these recessed docks right here. Same is true for the north end of the building. And then the last slide shows our access points along 267, which is now flipped to the top of the drawing. But you see that we've worked with the town with regard to lining up our entrances along 267 to match the Becknell project. I should also add that the Becknell project, one of the matters relating to it was the drainage pattern for the property. We have the same civil design team for this property, so they're very familiar with the watershed for the area, and we feel like we've got a real leg up on the future development of the property from a drainage standpoint, which will be a very big positive going forward as well. Let me slide up here too. I'll mention just a little bit about Prologis, very well-established company. As you can see, the number of assets under management, and founded back in 1983, has extensive relationships, and their business planning and modeling suggests, and we mentioned this a little bit on some other matters in recent days, but their business modeling suggests that there is going to be a substantial demand for these type of land uses due to changes in the supply chain, accelerated acceptance and integration of e-commerce, and a diversification of where manufacturing facilities are being located, all in response to, or at least partially in response to, our recent pandemic. And so they're seeing a rise in demand for these type of uses and a greater absorption rate than in the past. And so with this location being ideally suited between two interstate interchanges, one currently existing at 267 and the other one being planned near the County Road 550 location where it will intersect with I-65. This makes this property very well suited for this use. And be happy to answer any questions that you have.
And Matt, I saw a story last week that said the U.S. might need something like 1 billion square feet of distribution space in the next 2 to 3 years as there's this shift. And as retailers have to get away from just-in-time type inventory. So I appreciate that update. Councilors, any questions for Mr. Price? Or as he mentioned, we also have the developer rep from Prologis, Amy, on the phone or on the WebEx too, if you have questions for her.
Hey, Matt, Brad Burke. On the map, you said it's a little bit dated, certainly on the aerial view, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, these other, without driving, getting my car and going down there, which I'd like to do, these other buildings, it's pretty much everything in this space, kind of the same kind of business in terms of being a lot of distribution, warehousing. Is that what most of these are?
Yes, correct. I don't have that slide available, but it's kind of a who's who of corporate America in many respects when you go down both, if you see Indianapolis Road over here, and then it's growing as you go down 267, where you have Amerigen, you have Cummins, you have Bear, you have a variety of Puma, a variety of different companies that have located in these facilities, and they usually contain some office component as well, depending on the individual user. You have kind of what you'd expect as far as the distribution and logistics oriented jobs for folks working in a warehouse type facility. But you also can have other folks that have higher technical and educational skills that are also work within many of these facilities and provide support for their broader supply chain throughout this part of the country.
Any idea on the size of the asset they're potentially looking to put in there in terms of value?
Yes, they're estimating the total investment to be approximately $47 million. So a very substantial new investment. And that's just for, at this point, I reiterate this because I'm waiting for the day when we can announce some of the businesses that move in and the additional investment they'll bring, but that's just the real property investment. So that's the new buildings themselves.
Right. Thank you.
Councilman Melton?
Yeah, Matt Price, good morning to you. Good to hear you.
Likewise.
I've got a lot of, as a representative of Perry Township, I've got a lot of members of Perry that have been conflicted with all this development, primarily because some of them are on septics, as we've heard about Saratoga and septics, et cetera. But these guys are actually on your map that's on your screen. A lot of the residents that are actually on the southern portion of the screen there, ranch houses, septic. You mentioned the drainage is kind of in a compilation with with all the other developments around the site. Is there like a regional water flow drawing or sketch that kind of designs that water flow for the site you're proposing today, as well as across 267? Is there a document or a screenshot that you have of something that shows that water flow? And who is the engineering firm that is doing this for the water flow?
The company is called Innovative. So it's an engineer, Jerry Kittle and Greg Dempsey are the two engineers that have worked on that project. And there really isn't, it's not quite that simple. There are a couple of different watersheds that intersect at this location. And so one of the things that was a substantial benefit of the Becknell project was it improved an existing drainage problem that existed for these homeowners right in here. You may recall that when that went through Plan Commission back in, I think, 2018, that was one of the big things that was worked out between Becknell and those homeowners. And so one of the things that has been brought to these areas is infrastructure to address some of those existing problems. And so what I referred to was, because we know the topography and our engineer has been working on this site, we feel like we've got a head start with regard to this property as a result of that.
Do you know if it's true, if the water from the site we're looking at today travels to the south before it comes across 267? That was my understanding of the water flow pattern of this area, was that the site that you're on, your cursor's on, travels to the south across 550 and then comes across. And I guess the challenge with that is just, we're going to have a lot, I feel like there's going to be more watershed, maybe not. I guess there's less permeable surface is what my concern is. And then therefore all that additional water will come across to those homes and potentially damage, their front yards is typically what happened. Their driveways were flooded. I believe that's where some of their septics were, et cetera. So,
yeah, if I may, it's a good point. It's actually, I think what you're going to find is actually the opposite. One of the things to keep in mind is that the Zionsville drainage ordinance, which this property would be developed under, it requires that no more water can leave that property today, or after it's developed than does today, and at no greater rate. And so what actually happens is, I'll give you this slide, when they install the detention areas and build the stormwater network through the property, it actually contains that water and then releases it at a rate that's no greater than the rate that exists today. And so what I think what I think the folks were experiencing south of 550 before was really the sheet draining off the unimproved agricultural properties. And that was causing, I think, some of their drainage problems. And what happens when these properties get developed is there's actually infrastructure brought to contain that water and improve the drainage situation for them.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Zionsville, as a standard, I will say this, and I wish Wayne was here to validate this, but I can tell you that from a drainage standard, Zionsville has the highest requirements for drainage that I'm aware of. And so this will go through an exacting review to make sure that our calculations support exactly what I'm saying. If they don't, then we will not get a building permit in Zionsville.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Matt, you mentioned that new interchange, actually good timing. And so I was curious about traffic flow and how these developments work with the county, the state, the town, in understanding that, not requiring a traffic study, but just understanding the future state. Do you have a sense of when that additional interchange is going to be complete and how that coincides with potential build and activation of this site?
You know, I wish I had a better idea on the interchange timing. I think that we had thought that it would be within the next year at one point. I'm not sure it's on that exact same timing today. I will tell you that further north, the improvements to the State Road 267 interchange are going forward, and they are moving through, in fact, are completing their land acquisition phase. What I would anticipate is over the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see the land acquisition pick up for that. And it's probably going to be another 6 to 12 months after that before we see construction. So I think we're looking at a couple of years on that. We have done a traffic study, and one of the things that the town did, which I thought was wise, was at the end of last year, kind of seeing these developments coming online, and this Prologis property was really highly anticipated. When the Becknell project was approved, the future development of this site for these type uses was really being discussed at that time. So it goes back all the way to 2018. And so what the town did is Wayne and others met with representatives of NDOT, since this is an NDOT road. And so there are plans in place for making sure the intersections are aligned, adding turn lanes and passing lanes, dedication of right-of-way, which we're doing all along 267 for those lanes, and also future signalization of those intersections. So all of those items have been taken into account really proactively. I would say it was something that the town, you wouldn't necessarily expect the town to do that, but I think proactively they reached out to NDOT, and not just on this location, but other locations where Zionsville has state assets that bisect our community. They met and discussed what was needed in the future, and so those were incorporated into our traffic study.
That's helpful, Matt. Thank you. Could you maybe expand a little bit on the rest of the process that this council may see, just so that everyone's familiar? I know that this is a zoning remap that's coming with a favorable planning commission recommendation, but I believe there are a few other steps, much like we've done in the past, to make sure that this site, once built, is competitive in the regional marketplace and can get fulfilled.
Yes, thank you for that opportunity. Yeah, we have submitted to the town also our request for the traditional tax abatement model as well. So that would be something we would anticipate coming up at future council meetings as well. And again, it's to position the property to be competitive with other markets around the state and around our region. And as I mentioned, I myself don't know all the details of the proposal that Prologis is actively competing for, but it contemplates that as part of their submittal in response to an RFP. And so part of our next steps will be to pursue that tax abatement and continue to provide updates as part of the RFP process. So hopefully we'll have a project to announce as part of this as well, short in the near term.
And Matt, when we talk about those tax abatements, maybe we can talk about that actual meeting, but there's been this theme that these tax abatements that we are negotiating are less favorable than a traditional stair step approach of 190, 80, 70, 60, 50. Both Councilor Choi and I have done the math, and the math actually works out in our favor with this kind of more abatement at the beginning, but less at the end. And so it's actually a better deal for Zionsville than the quote is sort of 10% down for those 10 years. And so I'm appreciative of that. Just on a personal stance, I mean, I'm thrilled that Zionsville is getting the attention of a nationally known firm with the reputation of Prologis. So I'm thrilled that they're looking at us, and I'm certainly supportive of this project. Any other questions from councilors for Mr. Price? Don't see anyone else. I would certainly take a motion on this issue then, if there'd like to be one. Or I'll make a motion. I'll make the motion to adopt the ordinance number 2020-06 on final reading.
Second.
Is there a second from Vice President Traylor? Amy, could you do a roll call?
Sure. President Garrett,
Yes.
Vice President Traylor,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Choi,
Yes.
Councilor Culp,
Yes.
Councilor Melton,
Yes.
and Councilor Plunkett.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Ordinance number 2020-06 is adopted with a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Do any councilors have any other matters to discuss today? Thank you, Mr. Price. All right, well, I'm on a roll here, so I'll make a motion to adjourn. Got a second from Councilor Burke. Amy, can you make it official?
Yes. President Garrett,
Yes.
Vice President Traylor,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Choi,
Yes.
Councilor Culp,
Yes.
Councilor Melton,
Yes.
and Councilor Plunkett.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn approved by a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 3rd, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. Right now, the governor's orders expire July 31st, allowing these to be virtual. I think we'll continue to monitor the situation and rely on guidance from folks like Dr. Choi to see if meeting in person makes sense, or we may do virtual again. We'll certainly give public plenty of notice, and we'll have access through this Zoom apparatus if we can't do it in person. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate getting up early on this Monday morning. Have a good week.
Thank you.